Hello friends, welcome to Notebook Videos. In this video, we shall discuss about the comparative trends in various economic and human development indicators of India and its neighbours, China and Pakistan. The strategies that these countries have adopted to reach their present state of development. Friends, we need to understand that over the last 2 decades, the economic transformation that the world is undergoing, mainly due to globalization, has both as well as long-term implications across countries, including India. Nations has been trying various modes to strengthen their domestic economies. Regional and global economic groups such as SAARC, European Union, ASEAN, G8, G20 and BRICS. This is an increasing eagerness among nations to try and understand the policies and developmental processes of their neighbouring nations to better comprehend and polish their own policies. Do you know that India's neighbours, China and Pakistan, follow the same developmental strategies and all of them started towards the development at the same time? India announced its first 5-year plan for 1951 to 56. Pakistan announced its first 5-year plan, now called the Medium Term Development Plan, in 1956. China announced its first 5-year plan in 1953. Since 2013, Pakistan is working on the basis of the 11th 5-year plan, 2013-18, whereas China is now working on the 13th 5-year plan, 2016-20. Until March 2017, India has been following the 5-year development model. Well, let's now talk about China's development strategies. After the establishment of People's Republic of China under one-party rule, all critical sectors of the economy, including individual properties, were brought under government's control. The Great Leap Forward, GLF, was introduced in 1958 with a mission to industrialize the country, and that too on a massive scale. People were encouraged to set up businesses in their backyard. It marked the birth of China 2.0. However, the road towards development was not a smooth one for sure. A severe drought in China caused massive destruction in China and killed 30 million people. In 1965, Mao came up with a great proletarian cultural revolution 1966 to 1976, which laid emphasis on sending professionals and students to work and learn from the countryside. The present day's modern China is the result of those reforms that were carried out in 1978. China's introduced reforms in phases, with the initial phase focusing more upon agriculture, foreign trade and investment sectors, whereas the later phase emphasizing upon industrial sector. Pakistan, on the other hand, relied upon duplicating India's policies and strategies. Friends, while observing at various economic policies that Pakistan adopted, you will notice many similarities with that of India. Pakistan too follows the mixed economy model with coexistence of public and private sectors. The Green Revolution led to mechanical advancement and increase in public investments in infrastructure in various areas, which finally led to a rise in the production of food grains. This changed the agrarian structure in a subtle manner. In the 1970s, nationalization of capital goods industries took place, after which Pakistan shifted its policy orientation in the late 1970s and 1980s, when the major thrust areas were denationalization and encouragement of private sector. Further, foreign investments from neighbouring countries and the Middle East greatly helped Pakistan, thus facilitating its economic growth. Moreover, private sector friendly reforms and incentives furthered in strengthening Pakistan's economy. What are your views on Pakistan's strategy for development? Do you know that out of every 6 person living on this planet is an Indian and another is a Chinese? Pakistan, whose population is 1/10 of that of India or China, doesn't even come close in the picture. Thus, China is the largest nation and geographically occupies the largest area among India, China and Pakistan. It has the lowest density of population per kilometer. The reason can be one-child norm introduced by the Chinese government. That being said, a country's growth as well as economic development is by the gross domestic product (GDP), which is the total market value for all goods, products and services produced in a country at a specific time period. Let's get some numbers rolling. China has the second largest market share in terms of GDP or PPP at trillion. On the other hand, India's GDP stands at 8.07 trillion, whereas Pakistan stands at $0.94 trillion, which is roughly 12% of India's GDP. At a time when many countries were finding it hard to register and maintain a growth rate of 5%, China was maintaining a near double growth rate of 10.3% for almost a decade or so. From 2015 to 17, Pakistan's growth rate declined owing to the political tension and instability within the boundaries. China has only 10% of the total available area fit for agriculture. The total cultivable area in China stands 40% of that of India. That's contrasting, as in the early 1980s, more than 80% of the people in China were dependent upon agriculture and farming. In both India and Pakistan, contribution of agriculture was at 17% and 25% respectively. Let's look at the sector-wise GDP contribution table. If we look at India versus Pakistan figures, we see that in the industry sector, India has a stable contribution of 30% compared to Pakistan's 21%. Another important observation here is that India has the largest youth workforce among all countries, primarily because of high population and demographics on the side. Despite being the most populated country in the world, lags behind India and Pakistan for its aging population. This is primarily because of the one-child policy that has been initiated by the government. Right now, China has lifted the ban, but still the gap persists. That's all in this session. With this, we hope to conclude our session today. We will be able to see you in our next videos. We hope you have enjoyed the lesson, and goodbye.